how does valuation come across? Because sometimes people get the sense that, oh, people pick a figure out of the sky.
Yeah, so I mean, several factors go into valuation, and the fact is, for companies like us who scout for new opportunities in frontier parts of the country, the price discovery is on us.
Oh,
yeah, quite literally. It's a question of, so for me personally, it's an aspect I handle myself in the business, is land scouting and price negotiation. I always tell people, make money when you buy, not when you sell. And how you make money when you buy primarily is by buying below market value.
of course.
And there's different ways to do that. Either the seller is motivated enough to sell at a discount, or they're going through a distressed situation, or the property itself is distressed, if it's an auction situation and whatnot. But we're very aggressive with the negotiations when we're buying. Also, when we buy in bulk, it's easy to buy below market rate, right? So we're buying 50 acres, 100 acres at a time. Very different from when you're buying a 5-acre block.
True.
So that's step number one. Step number two has to do with how much value we create in terms of accessibility, cost of beaconing. In this case for Imbuko, we're going to have all-weather Maram surface roads. Hopefully the engineer has already started roadworks this weekend, so we'll get a chance to see that.
Oh, great.
And power, we'll have Kenya Power pull the power to us. One of the preconditions for the change of use from Kajiado County was we had to allocate space for community center, police post, garden, and borehole.
I'm taking this in because I'm thinking about, remember, this is not about me, this is about a 4-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Right.
But you've already talked about the things that matter, space for a community center, power, borehole, roads.
The basic stuff,
that
basic
stuff,
infrastructure.
yeah, but it's important.
And that stuff is not
It's
cheap.
not cheap.
Yeah, so that gets factored into what we end up selling for,
Yes.
right? Because we have to recover costs and hopefully make a profit.
Yeah.
So whether or not you make a profit is a question of what price the market can absorb or agree to pay.
Yes.
And that ultimately is the best base for valuation. It's a market that decides. So once we do all that math and cover all the costs and so on, we will essentially test the market, comparing with similar regions in the country and what people sell for. And ultimately, if people buy, you have an established value base to work from. If they don't, you adjust downwards until people are able to.
Yes, until you get to the point where they're fine.
Exactly.
Great. So I can't wait for us to get there, just because for me, I do want, beyond the fact that I still think the reasons I'm doing this, it's this, and I'm at a point in my life where the days of selfishly doing things for me are sort of gone. I've got to think 10 years ahead, 17 years ahead.
Yeah.
But more than that, the next time I do this trip, the kids will be in the back of the car because I will want to show them.
To show them, yes.
Because, and this, I could be wrong, I think generation to generation, we learn, we grow, we do better, okay? And I find that sometimes there's this, I'm going to wait for my, you hear this in normal speak, I'm waiting for my zigs to die so I can inherit it. And I keep thinking, no, shouldn't you have a sense of what it is that you are being bequeathed today?
Absolutely.
So that you grow with a mentality of what it is we can and cannot do, and you're not waiting for one day when I can't wait for then I'll sell it and then burn it or whatever it is.
Right.
So I do want to get my kids in the space of thinking, and it's something that will not necessarily be in the front of their faces every day, but as they grow, they think about it. As they grow, they will ask me, what is the valuation on it?
Right.
And I want to be able to ask them these questions. What are your plans?
Sure.
What do you want to
At this early
do?
stage, that's awesome.
Yes, and I've got to do it now.
Yeah.
Because I find that, and this is, I still think, a uniquely African problem. Wealth creation is tough. But I think it's how we go about the conversation of money and wealth.
Absolutely, yeah. It needs to change.
It needs to change. It needs to change.
Recently I had this conversation with my dad, who, before his father, my grandpa, died, he gave his property out to his children, distributed it. And people had legal possession of their titles before grandpa, moved to heaven, as it were. And about 2 Decembers ago, my dad sat me down and said, listen, I'm 70 whatever years old now. I'm retired, I'm in the village. I want to give you and your sisters your property now. I only want to be a squatter on your property. This is your land. If you want to kick me out, kick me out.
Yes.
But I will have peace knowing I have done my job and passed on the family legacy to the next generation. And I was a bit concerned, to be honest, at first, because I was thinking, oh no, dad is giving up on life.
Yes.
And I tried to resist, like, it's not necessary, we have time, like, where is this coming from?
Yes.
But, now it's been a year, we've been going through that process. I realized that for him, it's about giving us the space and the freedom to take ownership and invest.
Yes.
Right? Because otherwise, things that could be done now will not be done for another 30 years.
True.
Right? And that has an impact on usability, value, the next generation, and so on.
Yeah.
Because he's the one living there. He may not have the same appetite for new mjengo, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. But you do.
But I do.
Yes.
And I think he wanted us to feel, he wanted us to be at peace about putting our money there, as opposed to investing in apartments.
Yes.
Only in Nairobi.
Only in Nairobi. I hear you.
Which is very wise of him, I must say.
Yeah.
But I think these are conversations we need to be having with our children from much younger ages, so that you have that sense of ownership, whether or not the title is in your name.
Is neither here nor there.
You've possessed it with your heart, with your mind.
And that's what I wanted.
Right.
And that's what I wanted. So that is important for me, and the reason I started the conversation off, and I was very clear, to mothers, do this for your daughters.
Right.
Because generation to generation, and I think you've heard me say this before, I am my grandmother's wildest dream. Because in no world that she imagined, no matter how wild her dreams were, would I have the capacity to own that kind of land out of my own, doing.
Right.
And if that's how far she's come through my mother, I have to take it a step further with my own children.
Right.
But we can't also consistently do the same thing over and over again, because apparently that's how it's always been done. Yes, but does it work? Does it work? So I'm unapologetically partial about the fact that I think mothers are in a truly unique position to be able to tell their daughters and their sons. I think some of the reasons why we got a lot more women at Goshen. What is the percentage of women who?
90%.
90%.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it wasn't intentional.
No, it wasn't. It happened.
Yeah.
But I still think, and I want someone to tell me this is different. But I have a feeling that when a mother tells even her son, "Nunu apale,"
yes,
chances are he will.
True, yeah.
We take mom seriously. So I'm very much interested in having that conversation from that angle.
Yeah.
Because I think it works. But also for myself, it helps me. Here's another thing. I've been told money doesn't go where it's wanted, it goes where it's respected. Money goes where it's respected. And I think what consistently, investing in real estate and in other spaces has done for me is that it finds places for my money to go.
Right.
It finds places for my money to go. But until, of course, naturally, you finally put together a financing arm for Goshen. Yeah. When you're ready, let me know.
Yeah.
I still think I would love to appeal to parents today to help. unless your kids are under the age of 18 like mine,
Right.
help them acquire property while you're around to guide them.
Right.
So if your 27-year-old daughter, your 30-year-old son comes to you and says, I think I'm interested in this thing Caroline spoke about, why don't you do exactly what my parents did? Come and see it. In my case, I was going to write the check anyway. It's just that my parents got to do to eyeball you, eyeball the piece of land and say, we think this is good.
Right.
Because the one thing our parents also have is that they have two 2020. They have hindsight and foresight. And foresight. So I'm also very big on encouraging parents that if your kid comes to you and says, look, it's 7 what? Right now for an acre, 750?
Only 799K.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah. So if your son says, look, I've got 400,000, could you help me with? I don't think this is something you say no to.
Right.
Yes. I don't think this is something you say no to. It appreciates in value anyway.
It does, yes. Well, you know.
And I still think because it's such an easy drive, and something about the drive into Kambani is not, it's very different from driving up to Nyeri and Nanyuki.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it's very different.
Vibe.
It's a different vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feel it, like it's not even something
like
you have to describe to someone.
I brace when I drive to Nanyuki.
Right.
Yeah, I get ready, you know, back, you know, music to the whole 9 yards. Not when I come this way. Not when I come this way at all. So I think it's a journey worth taking. I want us to have another conversation, and my conversation is why everybody should, if they can, own land in Kenya. But I'll wait until we get there so we can show you the roads.
Awesome, yes.
Your humongous beacons.